My name is Stacey Yvonne. I'm with Pride.com. Awesome. We are here with the beautiful Camila Mendes, star of Do Revenge. Tell us what it's like, to be able to I guess, the reinvention of the high school movie, or the reintroduction of the high school movie, to kind of be able to head that off. What does that feel like?
It's amazing, because I didn't think I was going to do another high school project, and then this came along and I realized how fresh and original it was, and it didn't even just feel like, oh, we're trying to capture, you know, the essence of Gen Z. It felt like we're actually trying to, like, mix the two, you know, like the 90s nostalgia with the present day Gen Z culture, and it felt entirely, like, inspired by the past, but also incredibly new and inventive.
Tell me about, just because Drea goes through some things, and she goes 0 to 60. Like, she is indefatigable when it comes to a mission.
Yeah. And
of course, we see how that informs her character. What was it like, kind of crafting that character and really getting her personality?
It was beautiful. I feel like I understand Drea. I feel like I've been through similar things when I was a teenager. So to access that sort of pain and trauma from things that I've experienced was really nice, because in a way it's healing. So it was nice to root Drea's character in the foundation of my past, and also, like, you know, sort of seek what's the word? Not healing. Maybe it's healing, yeah. Seek catharsis through that process.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I also love how diverse it is, and naturally diverse. I'm a fan of effortless diversity. Yes. What was it like being on a set like that?
It was amazing. I mean, Jen really is all about that too. Like, she was like, I don't want this to be forced. I want this to just be like a natural representation of the world. And she also was very adamant about, like, you know, Drea being Latina, but also, you know, we don't need to, like, be like, this is where she's from, and this is not that there's anything wrong with that, but just, like, it's not the point of the story. The point of the story is this, like, revenge plot, and then in addition to that, the character is a Latina, and that doesn't need to be, you know, explained or unraveled in any way. But what I really loved is that the character was originally named Drew, and when I booked it, I was like, can we change the name to something that maybe, like, you're able to pronounce in Spanish or Portuguese, which is, you know, my family's Brazilian, and Jen was like, absolutely. So we came up with the name Drea, which kind of felt like a Drew, but if it were Latina.
I love that.
Yeah.
Maya Hawke, star of Do Revenge. Tell us about, like, how exciting are you to see this movie with everyone?
I have never seen it with an audience, and this is probably one of the few times this movie will ever be seen with an audience, because it's a Netflix film. But I will say, I hope everyone brings their friends over and has, like, at-home TV watching parties to watch this movie, because I really feel like I'm so excited to see it with an audience, and I think it will really be served by the audience's energy, because it's such a fun movie.
Well, one thing I love about it, and of course one thing we at Pride love about it, is I love effortless diversity. I want storylines that are queer but aren't like just one
story, or like that's the whole point of the character. I completely agree.
And so what was it like, kind of being on that set, being a part of this kind of new entry into teen movies?
Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, really, it didn't even feel like filming a teen movie when we were filming it. It felt like filming a movie. Jen is such a movie, which teen movies are, but, like, Jen is such a specific director with such a clear vision, and we just all clicked together so well in our real differences between Cammie and me and Jen, but everything kind of meshed really well, and I don't know, I felt very safe and excited.
I love that. If there was something, just a takeaway that you want the audience to have from the film, what would it be?
That you have to figure out how to feel your feelings, because, and I'm trying to figure this out myself, but if you don't feel your feelings, they'll eat you alive. And, like, I was meditating the other day, and they told me to accept, like, the warm light of love into my body, and as soon as I tried, I had an immediate panic attack, and I was like, no, I have no room for the warm light of love. Like, and so I think that if you don't feel your feelings, you don't have any room for the warm, good feelings to come in. So feel your feelings.
We are standing with Rish Shah, who plays Wesley on Do Revenge. Rish, how excited are you for the movie tonight?
Super excited. This is really surreal right now. I mean, it's like we shot this film over a year ago, and it's nice for all of us to be back together. Yeah, really excited.
Is this your first time seeing the film since then?
I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited to see it on the big screen tonight, and for all of us to experience it together will be great.
So tell us about Russ. What role does he play in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, so Ross, if I can say, kind of acts as a moral compass for Drea. I think so. He's kind of an extroverted introvert in a lot of ways, you know, and I just think he was really interesting. I as an actor, was like kind of put outside my comfort zone in a lot of ways, like aesthetically, and it was just a great experience. Jen made it super comfortable and safe and really fun.
Jen Caden Robinson, author, writer, director, all the above of this wonderful little movie. Tell me about the journey kind of from Sweet Vicious to Do Revenge. What's like the one thing that you've learned within that time?
You know, I think the thing that I've learned is just, it's not even things that you've learned, it's just like gaining confidence. And with everything you make, you get a little more confident and you feel a little more at home on a set and in your skin as a director. And so I feel like this is kind of the culmination of, it has a lot of Sweet Vicious undertones. It feels very similar to that in a lot of ways. But this is kind of like upping the ante in every way possible.
Well, one thing I loved about it is very much a generation, you know, alpha or whatever the next thing that we're on is. But every now and again, you'll hear that 2000s, like the instrumental with the How Bizarre.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh my God, I love this. What was it like kind of implementing those elements and knowing that they're vintage now?
No, I mean, but I think that was what was so fun about it, was kind of marrying that, you know, more Gen Z sensibilities and kind of putting a Gen Z spin on the classic teen movie, but also bringing in those things that are going to make you feel nostalgic, especially for millennials and Gen Xers who grew up on these movies. I grew up on these movies, and so to me, it's like about kind of marrying the fresh and the nostalgia.
Well, you know, I was speaking with Eva earlier, and she was talking about, she was talking about how she liked that it was kind of reminiscent of like an older teen movie, but with inclusion, you know, and there's queer storylines and there's diversity. Was that a priority for you to kind of instill into these scripts as you were creating it?
Yeah, it's a priority, but it's also a priority that these stories reflect what the world looks like. And I think that it was kind of unconscious in the way that Celeste Ballard and myself and Peter Kahn and Nancy Bregman, you know, talked about the film. And when we were writing it and creating it, it was never a question. It was never something that we were like, oh, we should do this. We just did it.
Right. I love that, and I love that we are getting closer and closer to a point where everybody can do that, and those stories are getting out and being told. Thank you so much for talking with us. We are here with Celeste Ballard, co-writer of Do Revenge. It's a fantastic little movie. Tell us about kind of how this came to be.
Yeah, I wrote with Jen Caden Robinson on Sweet Vicious, her TV show. So we've been friends ever since then, and she came to me wanting to do a movie set in high school, and we are both huge fans of Mean Girls and Cruel Intentions and all those kind of 90s iconic movies. So we wanted to do one of our own, but make it feel a little more modern. So she asked me to write it with her, and I, of course, was like, definitely. And now here we are 4 years later.
Well, I know you also wrote on Wrecked,
yes.
And you, of course, you mentioned Cruel Intentions,
yes.
which would be incomplete without Sarah Michelle Gellar in there. What's it like being able to kind of write something that brings all these like people in that you've worked with before?
I mean, that was such an honor to work with her and have her do this and have her blessing, I would say, if I may be so bold, because this truly, like, she's in Buffy, which was a huge influence for Sweet Vicious, and obviously Cruel Intentions. There's such a one-to-one Winky reference here, so yeah, it's been, honestly, that's why you write, not just to like live in your little writer's cave, but to have like amazing talent come in and take your words and bring them to life. So it's been the best.
One thing that I found so interesting is that even though the film is very modern and you're dealing with these, you know, Generation Alpha kids, it still has those die-hard themes of girls being against each other and, you know, just on and on and on. What is it about that that kind of intrigues you to write about it, like relationships between girls, especially like high school?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I've been in some alpha-beta friendships before, so I got to exercise my demons a little bit with this one. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's like a really old-school mentality to put women in competition with one another, and I think film and TV really played on that for such a long time, and it was fun to kind of invert those tropes and own it for once.
I'm sitting there, I'm watching the show, and I'm going, how bizarre, dun, dun, dun. And I was like, wait, but on strings, and I was like, okay, this Bridgerton moment, okay, this pop music in a choral orchestra.
I actually can't take credit for that. That was Jen Caden Robinson's suggestion, so that was not me.
But it was so well done, and just all the little musical cues. What was it like kind of putting those together?
You know, it was a lot of fun, especially to work with Amanda and Jen. You know, we just ate a lot of food and threw a lot of spaghetti at the wall and kind of just saw and listened to what stuck, and it was a lot of jamming. It was really fun. A lot of experimentation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's so interesting because, of course, when I was young, like the 70s were the thing, and, you know, even like the 50s, 60s. Now it's like the 2000s and 90s are the thing. And
crazy when you really think about it.
It makes me so angry. I'm like, but no.
It's just a mind fuck. I don't know if I can cuss.
Oh, yeah.
It is a mind fuck. First of all, if you think about it, you remember when Freaks and Geeks was on?
Oh, yeah.
That came out in like 98, and that was depicting the 70s. That's the same as now.
I can't do it.
Depicting the early 2000s.
We're not ready. We're not ready, you guys.
I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready for it.
I will say I recently met Edward Norton at the premiere for Glass Onion.
Okay.
And I was like, I have loved you since Primal Fear. And he's like, oh, you're way too young for Primal Fear. And I was like, oh.
Thank you. I mean, not no.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I will 100% take it. I'll take it.
Well,
That is so nice. He said that to you?
He did. I was like,
I'd give a kidney for
I was
that.
like, I'll take it.
I would give a full-blown kidney to have Edward Norton even look at me.
Everything.
You also heard it here first.
Also, you heard it here first.
She said it to Sticky Fingers, so it's true. It happened.
We are here staring with Ava Capri, star of Do Revenge. Tell us a little bit about, is it Carissa?
Yes.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about Carissa.
Carissa is the head of the school farm, and she has dreams, culinary dreams and aspirations, and she's best friends with Russ, and she's really cool, and yeah.
So, of course, we have this wrinkle kind of thrown in where there was a past offense and now someone is trying to do revenge on you. Yeah. Tell us about kind of Carissa's journey through that. Does she know, like, does she remember, do you think, or what's her deal?
I think, I don't want to give anything away and say too much because I definitely could right here, so I'm going to watch myself.
There we go.
But what I'll say is sometimes it's easy to forget what you've done in the past and how it affects people, and that's where I'll leave it. Yeah.
All right. I love it. Now, what I also love is that this movie has queer characters that are just seamlessly sewn into the fabric of this movie. What's it like to kind of be in an inclusive set like that, an inclusive story, the whole shebang?
It is so lovely, and it means so much to me. And yeah, I love the way that like this movie has so much nostalgic of movies past, but it has this like main queer storyline. And to me, like if I would have had something like that, like it just would have meant a lot. And I love that I get to be a part of it, and I love that this exists and people can see it and see themselves in it.
Right.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that, and we love you in this film. So I know you can be overwhelmed and you can be underwhelmed, but can you ever be just whelmed?
Oh my goodness, I'm overwhelmed right now. So the concept of being whelmed right now sounds delicious, but I want to be. If you know how to be, I would love to be.
Well, you know, you mentioned 10 Things I Hate About You, which is, of course, one of the classic lines from it. Is there anything that you want to be a classic line from your role in Do Revenge?
Oh my goodness. I have a line that I scream, that I say, she doesn't even know what cocaine looks like, as I'm having a mental breakdown. And that's probably my favorite line just because I say it.
When I tell you that scene was so fun, I died laughing. What was it like filming?
It was so fun because I was shooting Dynasty, and so I sort of came on a weekend off. And
one, it was just so nice to be reunited with Jen again, and we didn't really know what the scene would end up becoming. Well, every take got more and more emotional and more ridiculous, and we started ad-libbing more and more. And then I just started clutching luggage, and then by the end of it, I was just fully having a mental breakdown. And then, yeah, and so it was kind of beautiful because it wasn't necessarily what was on the page, and we kind of found it on the day, and so it was so much fun. I love crying.
We are here with Paris Burrells of the lovely Do Revenge. Tell us about your experience with the movie and the character you play.
So this movie, I think, is like my first adult movie. I feel like everything in the past has been like kids and family. So this is my first, like, you know, doing some, maybe a little naughty thing here or there, you know? So that was a really cool moment for me because I'm starting to grow up and like mature in my career. And everyone was just so welcoming and awesome, and everyone's really, really talented too. So it was a good experience, yeah.
So I did overhear your answer about how you got revenge. Tell us again the way that you get revenge.
What their labels
Success. Success, babe. That's the best revenge.
And it's the least stressful because all it does is benefit you.
Exactly.
So what is one of your favorite things that you got to do for the movie?
I love both of those characters. I love all the characters I played, whatever their sexuality is.
I think one of my favorite things about the movie was like all the costumes. I think they did such a great job like piecing everything together because everyone has their own style in the movie, but it all is cohesive and just like it reminds me of like Clueless. Like one of the reasons why you love Clueless because of like the white dress. Like it's a dress. Like yes, but I can't tell you what it is.
Versus Cher.
Exactly.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, but they work together. So that's like one of my favorite things about it. Yeah.
So nice to meet you, Miss Talia Ryder, and we are excited you play, and I just said her name, and Gabby. Yay! Tell us about Gabby.
Gabby's super cool. She's queer. I feel like she's the only one in the film that like kind of stays out of the drama. She just minds her own business. She's cool.
Well, you know, it's funny because we find out about Gabby's familial relationships to a certain person in the film, and they are really night and day. What was it like kind of playing like that opposite role where you're just the chill one?
I mean, it was fun because like I have friends like that too, or like, oh, like, yeah, he's my brother, like you gotta love him, but like, you know,
you do what you can.
Yeah, and I think like you kind of see at the end of the film, but she's not crazy herself, but she's definitely down for the crazy, and maybe like she gets a little bit of that from her brother.
All right, I like it. So I did notice some sparks flying in the first half. Is that gonna pay off? Are we gonna see a little? I've only seen the first half. I wanted to wait till tonight so I could watch it live with everybody.
Shoot, then I don't want to spoil anything.
Well, okay, so without spoiling, give me a wink. Are we in the right direction?
For sure.
Yeah, I love it.